Unlike the first Digimon Adventure, which I think is a fun, if flawed show that holds up well enough today, its direct sequel, Digimon Adventure 02, released in the year 2000, scared me off from the franchise for about 10 years. This was for a number of reasons, like the worst characters, the worst animation, no sense of danger or the feeling of being stranded that made the first series so good, the need to have a laughable Wunderkind as a villain, Takeru being inexplicably stronger than said villain, and acting really douchey about it, might I add. I mean, come on, like, fuck. And most importantly, the fact that they would rarely ever murder other Digimon compared to the first series. 02 wasn't nearly as good as the first one. Oh wait, what was this video supposed to be about again? The question here is how much time did they waste with those recycled evolution sequences in this series? Did they learn from their previous mistakes, or did they milk it for all it was worth? The answer won't surprise you. After going through each episode, holding down the left mouse button, aggravating carpal tunnel, and steadily getting more angry as I skimmed through this terrible show, I found that the total amount of evolution time came to 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 4 seconds. Keep in mind, 02 had 4 less episodes than its predecessor, coming to 50. Because the average runtime per episode was shockingly enough also 23 minutes and 5 seconds like the first series, it made doing the math as easy as using a calculator. That makes the average amount of evolution per episode come out to 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's 12 more seconds than the previous, better series. If we're talking percentage, that equals out to 5.4% of each episode, a 0.9% increase. But wait, there's more. Whenever the characters go to the digital world, we're sometimes treated to a sequence where this happens. Because it serves no purpose at all other than to pad the runtime, and it's always recycled, it could be fair to count this as its own kind of filler. The total amount of digital world transitions over the 50 episode span came out to 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Admittedly much less of an issue than the evolutions, but even more pointless. These sequences became increasingly rare as the series progressed, maybe because they realized the animation they did do was cheap enough anyway. It worked out to about 3.28 seconds average per episode, so that gives you an idea of how they phased it out over time. We could add the travel time onto the evolutions though for the sake of simplification, which would mean a combined average of 1 minute 19 seconds per episode, or 5.7% of the runtime. The total amount of non-Digimon specific anime filler, like the opening, recap, commercial break, ending, and teasers came out to about 22 seconds less per episode than the first series, largely in part due to the slightly shorter opening and ending themes. All of this total came out to about 18.6% of the runtime, down by 1.4%. Taking away the 1.2% from the increase in evolution and digital world travels means we actually got a net increase of 0.2% in non-filler content over the first series. Maybe that's what the 02 in the title actually stood for, I don't know. Either way, that means we got to see more of this. And this. And this. Maybe one day I'll talk more about these shows and their strengths, flaws, and bizarre quirks, such as the really disgusting, bizarre plot point about a bunch of shadowy creatures wanting to impregnate Hikari, who is very much not of age, consenting, or the same species. Gee, I wonder why this never made it to the English version. Digimon Adventure 02 isn't all terrible though, and it has some things that I do actually enjoy, namely Armadimon and his strange speech patterns. There was actually a time where I considered 02 to be the worst thing that Toei Animation had done, until Digimon Frontier that is, but there's something else that they released recently which I consider to be far, far, far worse. Something that I also have a strong attachment to. Something that I've got a lot to say about. Something that, oh fuck it, it's Dragon Ball Super.